When I started watching Andor Season 2, the weight of my expectations was almost unbearable. I was worried it could end up like other shows with rushed second season conclusions, which felt shortchanged and robbed of potential. But it was more than that. As I watched the first two episodes, my sense of unease grew. They were good, don't get me wrong, tightly written, well acted, affecting TV. But somehow, that wasn't enough. I needed the show to hit the highs of Season 1, and even surpass them. And then the ending of Episode 3 hit, and, well, it took me there. Still, I was left asking myself, why were my expectations so high to begin with? Why was I so desperate for this show to be not just good, not just well written, impeccably acted, and beautifully filmed, but like the best thing I'd ever seen in my life? And I think the reason is, what I really wanted from Andor Season 2 was for it to be the end of Star Wars. But let's go back to the beginning. Okay, maybe not that far. I'm not in the business of making hour-long video essays. I mean this beginning. Disney's announcement that they had acquired the Star Wars franchise and were rebooting it with a new trilogy of movies. As a teenager who'd grown up with the franchise, I was over the moon. I remember watching every trailer that came out again and again. Of course, there were naysayers, non-believers, those saying Disney was destined to mishandle the franchise, but I didn't care. I was ready for this return to practical effects and stark on-location environments. And then The Force Awakens came out and it was really good. Everything I'd hoped for, not without flaws, but still, it more or less silenced the critics. Then, a year later, Rogue One, another imperfect but well-received film that upped the stakes and showed what you could do in the sandbox of the Star Wars universe. Things were going good, going great. Anticipation for the latest film couldn't be higher. And then... I like The Last Jedi. I could talk for hours about how the film is misunderstood, and despite some sloppy storytelling, there are a lot of powerful ideas at play. But in retrospect, it's hard not to call it an objective misstep for the franchise, with the massive fan divide it created marking the beginning of deep-seated audience discontentment. The underperformance of Solo in 2018 was another blow, and the critically panned Rise of Skywalker marked the final nail for the cinematic arm of the franchise. Things were looking dire, but then... The Mandalorian enamored television audiences with its wholesome emotional core and back-to-basics storytelling style. Giving the Clone Wars a definitive ending was also a big win for Disney in terms of winning back deeply entrenched Star Wars fans. But their greatest victory of all would come in a form no one was expecting. A spin-off show about a character from a spin-off movie many would have considered trivial. I remembered the show was sort of a punchline before its release. Like, really? That guy? Is Disney already scraping the bottom of the barrel? If a movie about Han Solo underperformed, how are you going to get people to care about Cassian Andor? And then Season 1 came out, and it was the best Star Wars ever? Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. Obviously tastes will vary. But I'm saying it marked a stark contrast with recent entries in the franchise, with its focus on maturity and suspense and rich characterization. I don't need to sing the praises of Andor Season 1, people have done that for me. Unfortunately, the rest of the franchise did not follow Andor's example. Disney's strategy of oversaturation has led to inevitable diminishing returns. To be fair, I can't really speak to the quality of recent Star Wars, mainly because I haven't watched a lot of it. I never watched The Mandalorian Season 3, I gave up on the Book of Boba Fett, gave up on Kenobi, gave up on The Bad Batch, never watched Ahsoka, never watched Skeleton Crew, probably won't watch The Mandalorian and Grogu, or the new Sean Levy movie, or the Rey movie. When I was a teenager, you couldn't have paid me to miss the latest Star Wars or MCU release. I saw every one of the original 22 Marvel films in theaters, many on opening night, and same with Star Wars. And maybe I've just grown up, maybe my tastes have changed, but after Andor Season 2, I never want to be asked to care about another Wookiee or Jedi or whatever the hell Yoda is backwards talking mint elf. If I had any hope that Disney could top Andor, I might give them a sliver of a chance. But I think Tony Gilroy was right when he said, there will never be another show like it. And to be clear, I don't think he was trying to disparage future creators with that statement. He was simply pointing out that the circumstances that led to Andor's creation, a new streaming service desperate for prestige, willing to throw endless money and seemingly complete creative freedom to a team working on a niche and boundary-pushing project, how likely is that to happen again? I have no doubt Disney will continue to churn out new Star Wars content until the sun explodes, running the creative well dry and then using the silt at the bottom, relying on the 20-year nostalgia cycle and reviving like a vampire again and again. But I don't think they will ever make another Andor. And we don't really need another Andor because we have Andor. It's a perfectly good Andor. We have Andor at home. But is this series really the right place to end the franchise? Is it good enough to serve as a definitive capstone to one of the most beloved sagas of all time? Well, yes, it actually is that good. Season 2 has lived up to my expectations and exceeded them. 2 of its latest episodes are rated among the highest TV episodes of all time on IMDb. It's the last time I expect Star Wars to ever truly live up to its ideals and push boundaries, with everything coming after being nothing but a Xerox of a Xerox. What's more, I think it's fitting, in a kind of ironic way. Despite its mishandling of the Skywalker saga, Disney Star Wars still managed to create a pretty immaculate trilogy, more or less by accident. I even think Andor retroactively improves Rogue One, adding weight to many of its characters. And even if the main cast is a bit thinly drawn, it's less glaring when you can see them as just another group of people that Cassian is randomly thrown in with, in what happens to be his final and most consequential mission. While Jyn Erso is the main point of view character and things hinge on her relationship with her father, the story is just as much about Cassian, and it's a satisfying conclusion to his arc. Really, besides CGI Tarkin and Leia, it's a pretty well-rounded movie, with the best visuals in the franchise and a transcendent third act that pushes it into masterpiece territory. If you were going to bring Star Wars into the 21st century, this is how you do it. These 3 beautiful works of art. I guess what I'm trying to say is, Star Wars may never truly end, but the part that I care about has.